For centuries, the idea of the perfect crime has gripped our imagination, a timeless dance between human ingenuity and the world's most impenetrable defenses. The allure isn't just in the billions stolen or priceless treasures lost, but in the audacity, intellect, and nerve it takes to pull it off. From real-life schemes inspired by Sherlock Holmes to mob robberies immortalized in Goodfellas, these heists are psychological thrillers as much as they are crimes. In this countdown, we're ranking the 10 greatest heists in history, not only by the money taken, but by the genius of the plan, the drama of the aftermath, and the indelible mark they left on our collective memory. Sliding into the number 10 spot, we uncover a real-life caper that could have leapt straight from the pages of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the 1971 Baker Street bank heist. Orchestrated by a daring crew led by ex-British Army soldier Anthony Gavin, the operation drew eerie parallels to a Sherlock Holmes mystery. The thieves ingeniously rented a leather goods shop just 2 doors from Lloyd's Bank and spent months burrowing a 40-foot tunnel through earth and concrete to reach the vault. Their intelligence work was equally cunning. One member opened a legitimate account and safety deposit box, scouting the vault's interior without raising suspicion. Choosing a long holiday weekend for their strike, they employed explosives and a thermal lance to breach the floor, while a lookout on the roof coordinated via walkie-talkies. Yet the plot unraveled in an astonishing twist of fate when radio hobbyist Robert Rowlands stumbled upon their chatter on the airwaves. Initially dismissed by police, his recordings became the key evidence leading to the crew's capture and recovery of most of the £3 million haul. The mix of methodical planning, literary inspiration, and bizarre downfall makes this one of history's most unforgettable heists. Claiming our 9th position is a crime dripping with luxury, audacity, and tragedy: the 1987 Knightsbridge security deposit robbery. Masterminded by Italian playboy and career criminal Valerio Viquet, the plan revolved around charm and corruption rather than brute force. With over 50 armed robberies already to his name in Italy, Viquet found refuge in London, where he enticed the center's debt-strapped managing director into betrayal. Disguised as wealthy customers seeking a new safety deposit box, Viquet and an accomplice entered the vault on a quiet Sunday, drew their weapons, and subdued the staff. In a display of almost theatrical nonchalance, they hung a temporarily closed sign on the door, inviting more accomplices inside to loot the boxes at leisure. Over the following hours, the gang made off with an estimated £65 million in cash, jewels, and other valuables. But Viquet's love for fast cars betrayed him. Returning from Latin America to reclaim his prized Ferrari Testarossa, he walked straight into a police trap. Identified from a bloody fingerprint at the scene, he was arrested, later befriending the detective who caught him. His life ended in a gunfight during a prison day release, sealing his place as one of history's most flamboyant and doomed thieves. At number 8, we step into the foggy morning of November 1983, when a heist intended for quick cash morphed into one of Britain's most infamous gold thefts: the Brinks-Mat robbery. The 6-man team, armed and masked, had the ultimate inside advantage: security guard Anthony Black, who provided details of the warehouse layout near Heathrow Airport. Bursting in, they overpowered the guards, even resorting to the horrifying tactic of dousing one in petrol to extract the vault combination. What awaited them was beyond imagination: £26 million in gold bullion, diamonds, and cash. What began as a smash and grab became the largest gold heist in UK history. Laundering the treasure was a masterstroke of criminal enterprise. The bullion was melted, mixed with copper, and funneled back into the economy, creating a blueprint for global money laundering networks. The aftermath was soaked in blood and betrayal, with multiple conspirators murdered in disputes over the fortune. Much of the gold was never recovered, but its influence lived on, funding property developments in London's docklands. This crime didn't just change criminal history, it reshaped the underworld's understanding of how stolen wealth could be transformed into lasting power. At number 7, we journey to the Easter weekend of 2015, when London's Diamond District witnessed one of the most surprising criminal spectacles in modern history: the Hatton Garden heist. The police, expecting young, nimble offenders, instead discovered a crew of elderly veterans of the underworld, men in their 60s and 70s who had honed their craft long before the digital age. Nicknamed the Geriatric Gang, these silver-haired burglars blended old-school precision with sheer determination. Gaining access to the building's basement by disabling a lift, they employed a diamond-tipped Hilti DD350 drill to penetrate a 50-centimeter thick concrete wall, a feat requiring both planning and brute force. Their first attempt was thwarted when a jack broke, forcing them to retreat. Undeterred, they returned 2 nights later, replacing the faulty tool and successfully breaching the vault. The haul, an estimated £14 million in cash, gold, and gems, was monumental. Yet their undoing came not from physical mistakes, but from the relentless eyes and ears of modern surveillance. CCTV footage and covert listening devices in their vehicles recorded their post-heist arguments, providing prosecutors with damning evidence. One member, Brian Reeder, a veteran of the Brinks-Mat robbery, epitomized their old guard status. When captured, their legacy was summed up by a line caught on a police bug: "If we get nicked, at least we can hold our heads up that we had a last go." Steaming into the 6th spot is the heist that Britain still calls the crime of the century, the Great Train Robbery of August 8, 1963. In the dead of night, 15 men, led by the calculating Bruce Reynolds, targeted a Royal Mail train traveling from Glasgow to London. Their prize, £2.6 million in used banknotes, equivalent to around £50 million today. Acting on precise insider intelligence, the gang sabotaged the signal lights at Sears Crossing, disguising a red stoplight powered by batteries and covering the green with a glove. When the train halted, they boarded, attacked the driver, and compelled him to move the train to the secluded Bridle Bridge. There, the team worked in synchronized efficiency, offloading 120 mailbags into waiting Land Rovers before disappearing into the countryside. Their hideout, Leather Slade Farm, became the staging ground for their biggest blunder. While celebrating, they used the stolen cash in a game of Monopoly, leaving fingerprints that would lead to one of the largest manhunts in UK history. Most of the gang, including the infamous Ronnie Biggs, were eventually arrested and handed long sentences, yet the majority of the loot vanished forever. The robbery remains a timeless example of precision planning undone by human carelessness. Taking the 5th spot is a crime immortalized in both law enforcement files and Hollywood cinema: the Lufthansa heist of December 1978. Orchestrated by the ruthless Lucchese crime family associate Jimmy Burke, the robbery targeted a cash-rich Lufthansa cargo terminal at JFK International Airport. The seed of the plan came from Louis Werner, a corrupt cargo worker who knew of an incoming shipment worth millions. In the early hours, Burke's crew breached airport security, rounded up 10 employees at gunpoint, and methodically cleared out a staggering $5 million in untraceable cash and nearly $1 million in jewels, a total that made it the largest cash robbery in U.S. history at the time. Not a single gunshot was fired, and the gang escaped in under 70 minutes. But while the plan was flawless on paper, the aftermath turned deadly. Burke, fearing informants and driven by greed, systematically eliminated many of his own associates, leaving a bloody trail that eventually drew FBI attention. Decades later, the Lufthansa heist remains an enduring story of organized crime, seductive promise, and inevitable betrayal. Despite years of investigations, only Louis Werner, the insider, was ever convicted, cementing the heist as both a mob triumph and a cautionary tale of trust turned fatal. Sliding into the 4th position is a caper so intricate it stunned the global diamond trade: the 2003 Antwerp diamond heist. At the heart of Belgium's glittering diamond district, the Antwerp Diamond Center's underground vault was a technological fortress boasting 10 layers of high-tech security, infrared heat detectors, seismic sensors, a magnetic field, and advanced locks. Enter Leonardo Notarbartolo, a smooth-talking Italian who posed for 2 years as a legitimate diamond merchant, renting office space and a deposit box to study every movement inside the building. His crew included elite specialists, among them a legendary lockpicker dubbed the King of Keys. Their method was a masterclass in low-tech ingenuity, defeating high-tech safeguards. A squirt of hairspray disabled heat sensors, and strips of electrical tape blinded light detectors. Navigating the vault's labyrinth of defenses, they emptied safe deposit boxes containing over $100 million in diamonds, gold, and jewelry. But their precision unraveled when an accomplice abandoned a bag of trash, complete with a half-eaten sandwich in a nearby forest, providing DNA that led to Notarbartolo's arrest. Despite convictions, the treasure remains missing, leaving this daring heist as both a cautionary tale and proof that patience, planning, and a touch of human error can rewrite the limits of possibility. In 3rd place, we travel to Fortaleza, Brazil in August 2005, where a criminal crew pulled off one of the boldest underground jobs in history: the Banco Central burglary. Masquerading as a landscaping company in a rented property nearby, more than 24 conspirators spent 3 months digging a 78-meter tunnel under bustling city streets. This was no crude hole. It was outfitted with with lighting, air conditioning, and reinforced supports. A feat of covert engineering that connected directly to the bank's vault floor. Over a quiet weekend, the thieves broke through 3 feet of reinforced concrete without triggering alarms, hauling away $70 million in cash, roughly 3.5 tons of Brazilian currency. By Monday morning, all that remained was a gaping hole and empty shelves. At first, the press hailed it as the perfect crime, but the fortune became a curse. Members of the crew fell victim to extortion, kidnappings, and violent infighting as greed shattered their unity. While some were captured and a fraction of the money recovered, most of the loot vanished into the shadows. The heist's scale and precision cemented its place in history, later becoming the subject of Netflix's The Great Robbery of Brazil's Central Bank, ensuring the legend of the tunnel men endures. Taking the silver medal on our list is an art theft so haunting that its aftermath still hangs, quite literally, on the museum walls. In the early hours of March 18, 1990, 2 men disguised as Boston police officers talked their way into the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, claiming to investigate a disturbance. Breaking security protocol, the night guards let them inside, only to be bound and blindfolded in the basement. Over the next 81 minutes, the thieves plucked 13 irreplaceable works from the collection, including 2 Rembrandts, among them The Storm on the Sea of Galilee, the artist's only seascape, and a Vermeer masterpiece. Valued at over $500 million, the haul remains the largest art theft in history. Yet the real loss is cultural. None of the works have been recovered, and the museum maintains the empty frames in their original places, a silent tribute to the missing treasures. The scene has become a chilling symbol in the art world, a constant reminder of a wound that has never healed. A $10 million reward still stands, but decades later, the Gardner heist remains an unsolved riddle, one where the ghosts of stolen art continue to whisper through the halls. Topping our list is a heist that redefines the very concept: the Central Bank of Iraq robbery in 2003. On the eve of the U.S. invasion, Saddam Hussein, facing the collapse of his regime, ordered his son Qusay to withdraw nearly $1 billion from the nation's reserves. Armed with a handwritten note from his father, Qusay supervised the loading of hundreds of crates of cash onto trucks in an open, state-sanctioned grab that bypassed every law, alarm, and security measure. This wasn't a covert operation. It was raw political power in action. The staggering sum, mostly in US $100 bills, was spirited away before coalition forces entered Baghdad. Months later, American troops discovered $650 million hidden inside the walls of one of Saddam's palaces, but hundreds of millions remain unaccounted for. Unlike other entries on this list, there was no cracking of safes or tunneling under streets, just the ruthless efficiency of a dictator seizing a nation's wealth in broad daylight. It remains, by scale and audacity, the largest bank robbery in human history, and a chilling reminder that the most impregnable vault in the world is no match for absolute power. These legendary heists, whether fueled by ambition, cunning, or sheer audacity, all share one truth: the perfect crime doesn't exist. From tunnels dug in silence to robberies masked as authority, each plan eventually met its flaw, often in the most unexpected ways. They leave behind legacies of both tragedy and legend, shaping how we think about risk, reward, and the human hunger to defy the impossible. Which of these struck you as the most daring? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more incredible stories like this. Thanks for watching.